welcome to the course, and thank you for taking it. This is the Truman's Exit Teenagers Toolkit to Reclaim Humanity and Culture in a Technologically Drowning Era. Yeah, so within this course, this particular video, this video is just the introductory video, whereas I'll be going over the 14 modules and what you can expect within the course. Yeah, so it's a teenager's toolkit to reclaim humanity and culture in a technologically drowning era, right? In this course, within the 14 modules, you'll learn more about understanding your mind, more about mastering your time, more about protecting your peace, more about building real connections, and more about creating a life worth living. Um, these are real tools, real life. Use them when you need them. And I recommend this course to be taken about 7 times, which is the amount of times it takes to get something from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. Um, and yeah, this course is yours. Return to it, rehearse it, live it. Okay, so let's get into it. Yeah, for module one will be, excuse me, on consciousness awareness. And so these are theories that I live by, and it's for you, the viewer, to consider, right? Theories that I live by, and in my 33 years in this world, they've been proven very effective for me, and it took me a lot of research, a lot of experimenting to come on to them, right? So theories that I live by for you, the viewer, to consider, right? So yeah, consciousness awareness, module one. I am a consciousness and I have a body, right? And as you are, yeah, as you are like watching television, your consciousness will project a fake body or a shadow body, a vicarious body that will go into the television, right? Which is why, like, if you're watching your favorite movie and your favorite characters um, is killed, you'll feel sad, you know, because your consciousness, you are a consciousness, you have a body, and your consciousness is projecting a fake body, a shadow body, a vicarious body. Same thing with video games. Your consciousness is projecting a shadow body, a fake body, a vicarious body into the video games. So as the video games is going on, you would feel a sense of accomplishment, right? Let's continue. Yeah, so module number two is time bender, right? Time bender. So within the times that we're living in, it's very important to understand how the stimulus with the different things is interacting with us from a relativity standpoint. And I'm not going to use like too many big words because of course this course is geared specifically towards teenagers, but it's valuable across the board, right? Adults, everybody, we all need to press the reset button about how we interact with technology and how it's affecting culture, right? So in module number two, time bender will look specifically um, at how specific things we do. For example, like if you were to spend, let's say, 3 hours playing video games, it would probably feel like 10 minutes, right? And why is that exactly? And then we'll look at the board, across the board. As you see from the picture, person is watching playing video games and also watching Netflix. And on the right side, present joy, real experience, right? This is just a person by themselves. They're outside in nature. There's some humans there versus isolated by yourself, surrounded by technology, right? Now, different things are happening on both sides with the brain. And in this course, we're going to dive deep into them. Um, let's continue. Yeah, so module number three, psychological time, right? Psychological time. Time in the mind creates suffering. Awareness brings freedom, right? So with us pressing the reset button on where we are, in 2026 as it relates to how we're interacting with technology and the consciousness projecting from the real body to the fake body as we watch movies and television or play video games. Coming back to reality, it's very hard for the consciousness and the real body to differentiate between the past and the future, right? And based on my education so far and my experimentation so far, the only way that we can really put a handle on things is by true knowledge. And you're looking at it right now in this image right here, right? It shows at the top left side, the past and the mind. It could be regret, guilt, shame, stories, identity. A person could be overly stuck in the past and they could even develop something like a victim mindset, right? And then the future also can be worrisome. The first one being worry, anxiety, fear. So yeah, this is module number 3. Let's continue because this is just the introductory. In other videos, we're gonna dive deep into each particular module. This is just going over all 14 modules, so you can know what to expect from the course. Yeah, module number 4. So this one is subway surfing, right? There's an obvious problem, a trend in New York City, especially with teenagers subway surfing, right? A teenager would have been killed just about this would have been in May of 2026. And if you look over the course of many years, it's been happening, right? And there's pros and cons like why a person would choose to subway surf. But when we look at it from the angle, from a psychological angle, as we look at things that we're going to be discussing in this course about how technology is affecting culture, and then so how technology is affecting culture, and then when the human is by themselves, what happens with their mind as they're left to differentiate between the past and the future. So subway surfing is something that you can do, and it definitely, without a doubt, do not recommend it at all. It's like high risk, and many teenagers would have been killed doing it. However, objectively, right, adrenaline seekers, adrenaline junkies, doing something that's so close to the possibility that you could do the smallest thing that would cause you to be killed, it forces the brain to give up or surrender the future, and it forces the brain to give up or surrender the past, right? And you'll learn about this in this course, by the way. And so what happens is, in that moment, your brain will feel a certain amount of bliss because you're present, you're in the moment. And if you just very briefly think about it for a second, in this moment, what is this moment lacking, right? Likely you'll realize this moment is likely lacking nothing. And most humans, they're in mind problems, which is the psychological time, but they're not really present, right? So this could be the thrill of the subway surfing, whether teenagers realize it consciously or subconsciously. And even if a teenager were to do it and then they survive, right, and then they come back to tell their friends, the effect of it, as they're going to be explaining that to their friends, is going to be very, very, very positive, especially from a mental health standpoint, from how they feel, and how they feel as a result of surrendering the future and surrendering the past and just being present. But you don't need to do that. You're going to learn in this course how to do that. You don't need to go on a train to do that. You could be sitting in a chair at home by yourself, no technology on, and I'm going to train you how to do that in this course, right? Let's continue. Yeah, module number 5, right? Nothing is something, and entering the now, right? So where we are objectively, right? And in this course, we're going to be firmly based in reality from a physics standpoint. Physics being cause and effect, right? And again, it's going to be very simplistic because the target audience is teenagers, but it is valuable again for adults and anyone across the board, right? But it's going to be very simplistic, but physics in the sense that cause and effect, right? So where we are objectively, as you're looking at this image with the 3 different images put together, right? So with video games, your brain knows when it's time to interact with video games, what to expect, what fun to expect. There's a device, right? Whether it's your phone or like a device that's connected to your TV, your brain knows it's video game time. When it's Netflix, there's a remote controller. There's the TV. There's devices, physical, tangible devices you can touch to know. Okay, it's television time, right? The now. This is the last image that's there. The now, the actual self, the actual consciousness that has the body, the real body, the human body, not the projected body that goes into the video games, not the projected body that goes into Netflix and goes on adventures and solves crimes. No, the real body this time, right? When you're by yourself, there's no physical, tangible device to let you know about the now, right? But I'm telling you, they are just like as how there's justifiable positive things that come from playing video games and justifiable positive things that come from watching Netflix. There are justifiable positive things that come from being present in this moment and not overly thinking of the future or not overly thinking about the past, right? And in this course, we're going to speak about ways in which you can process all of the other facets that would limit and prevent you from being able to be present, right? And as I continue, one of the biggest benefits of being able to be present and lock into this moment, and by being able to deal with all of the things that would prevent you from being present, is high functioning emotional regulation. High functioning emotional regulation. Let's continue. Yeah, module number 6, right, will be about the power of now. The Power of Now. This was written by a book by a guy called Eckhart Tolle. Very powerful book. It should be in one of the homework or supplemental phase of one of the modules. But in any event, though, just for the sake of this introduction, um, we're looking at a guy who's walking on stage to give a talk, and every step to this stage, I choose to be fully here, right? So this is largely what we're speaking about, right? Every single step on my way here, I was intentional to be fully present at each step, at each moment, right? This may be something that might be hard to grasp at first, right? Because like imagine you for a second, if you were going to give a talk in front of an audience, right? It's likely that your mind is going to be thinking, once I get to that stage, I need to give this talk. This is like a big moment, right? A big moment. But what you're going to learn in this course, right? And you will need to trust me to a certain extent for me to guide you, right? But what you're going to be learning in this course is that each of those steps on your way to that stage, to that chair to give that talk, each of those steps is valuable. And the irony is that by being fully present in each step, you'll realize every single moment of your life, there's a depth of it. And if you train your mind to be fully present in the moment, as life goes on, it will always be that moment. Meaning, everything, if you think about it just for a second here, everything that's ever happened to you happened in the present moment, right? The now. Not the future, not the past, now. Right? So, let's continue. Yes, module number 7. This is where I'll be given like firm principles and how to, deal with your past, right? Some of these things are common sense. A lot of them, they are not, right? And they're in a sequential manner from, module 1 to module 14 for a reason. Early on, it begins with the problem that we're trying to address with this course. It speaks about the effect, which would be the subway surfing. And then we speak about the solution. And then later on, there's 2 modules about like a target that you should be pitching forward, right? But in any event, module 7 is about the past. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, module number 8 is about the future, right? So, not similar to the past, but only similar because it's something that would be a hindrance to the present moment. And we're trying to deal with it so that we can appropriately be able to block it off, right? When it tries to interfere with your ability, when you're by yourself, not playing video games, not watching television, but you're by yourself, just sitting in a chair or just riding the subway or riding the bus. And now you need to be able to be locked into the present, right? And so in this module number 8, we're going to be speaking about the future. And one important thing I want to say here, right? You'll also learn that it's okay even within this course, even though we're some to some extent addressing the future and the past. You're gonna learn that it's okay to take momentary visits, right? This would be, as we explained in module number one, you are a consciousness, you have a body, and you're projecting now. The consciousness projecting the body, the shadow body, is almost like your focus, right? It's okay to take momentary visits to the past or the future as it's necessary, but then ideally, the large majority of your focus and your time should be locked into the present moment. Now, most humans, the large majority of their focus is spent in the future or in the past, and they're stuck in a perpetual state of anxiety, right? Like the movie Inside Out Part 2. But regardless, this is just the introduction. You don't need to be like writing anything down or anything. Or this is just the introduction to know what to expect in the course, right? This is module number 8. Let's continue. Module number 9, common sense physics, right? Which is just fundamentally saying we're going to be very technical as we approach the topic with regards to cause and effect, right? And be very technical about it. So common sense safety, right? And in this module, we're going to be speak fundamentally about how safe you are. No matter whether you go to school with a bus, when you're in school, you're at the mall, you're with your family. Safety is paramount. And we need to discuss it, and we will discuss it in this course because it is a hindrance that would prevent any person from being present. Okay, let's continue. Module number 10. Common sense physics, again, cause and effect with regards to the topic, which is financial literacy and time management. Yeah, so some of these things are a bit complex, right, as to how they relate to what we're speaking about, right? However, this is relevant. So we're going to be touching the surface of financial literacy so that you, as an individual, after you take this course, you'll firmly be able to know that there's really no difference between wealthy people, whether you are wealthy or whatever background you're coming from. There's no difference from them and you, and you'll be able to see the cause and effect with how wealth can be accumulated, right? And so you'll just have a firm fundamental disposition towards financial literacy, and then a firm fundamental disposition towards time management. It should be fun. Nothing here is supposed to be hard. Everything is fun and it's loose, right? And for most of you that will be taking this course, your parents will be taking it too, right? So it's something I expect families to be discussing, right? It's just very fun, very loose, right? Very fun and loose, and just kind of like learning, engaging, and stuff like that. So yeah, module number 10, financial literacy, time management. Okay, module number 11, right? So this one is disidentification with thoughts, right? So for this one, we are going to lean on the Bible for a little bit of guidance, regardless of whatever religion you practice. This is just like it doesn't matter. Like any human could follow along, right? But in this one, it's the scripture 2 Corinthians 10:5. Hold your thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ. So we're just gonna break down fundamentally the thought process as the Bible, because I only use the Bible because the Bible perfectly explains like what we want to be doing in this moment, right? And this is only relevant because of the times we're living in, with how technology is interfering with culture. So that's why the metaphor, I am a consciousness, I have a body, my consciousness would project my body like a fake body, a vicarious body, a shadow body, as I'm playing video games or as I'm watching Netflix or any movies, right? So that's relevant because now when the body is by itself with the past and the future, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of confusion, right? And in your thoughts now, right? So, but this what we're going to be going through in module number 11, it's a beautiful way of of making everything make sense, right? Everything will make sense so that you can firmly be positioned within society to function effectively and move in whatever direction you want to be moving in, versus you not really understand what's going on, and then a friend say, hey buddy, let's subway surf, and then you may not even be conscious, and then you might, okay, let me just climb on the subway, but which is what we don't want, by the way, right? But more importantly, this is about teaching knowledge so that you, the viewer, could be more informed in your life about what's going on the foundational surface with regards to technology and culture, right? In any event, let's continue. Module number 11. So I love this one. This is my favorite one. So this one is about the destination, right? What life is all about. Nobody really explains this, especially to teenagers. You're kind of like here, looking at your parents, looking at your relatives, looking at television, kind of figuring things out, right? But this is based off of science, research, and things that kind of like would make the average person happy, right? And so we are going to be addressing this, all the four components that we see here, why they're essential, and what can be some of the obstacles that would prevent a person from being able to attain them. Yeah, but very surface level and just like a general guidance that's needed. Let's continue. Okay, number 13, module number 13, social baptism. So this one is a beautiful one. Very beautiful. I did a ton of research to be able to get the information here, and I'm very happy to to pass the wisdom along, right? But it's very beautiful because, and I'll briefly say, one of the things that make us the most happiest as humans is social connections, friends and family, but also quality ones. For many of us, many people within society, we kind of like go with the flow, who's around us, who's our family, these are our friends. If a teacher puts us in a group with somebody, that becomes our friend. If we end up in homeroom with somebody, that becomes our friend, right? But on a bigger scale, right, the bigger picture, you'll realize like you are in charge of your own life, right? You're the CEO of your own life. So in a sense, you'll have the ability to be strong enough to seek out friendships, be strong enough to be resilient to, like, if you try to make a friendship, the person doesn't want to be your friend, be strong enough to withstand that, but also have an abundance mindset to keep it pushing, keep it moving until like you find quality people. And we are going to discuss, for example, this book in this course. The name of the book is Belong by the author Radha Agrawal, her name is. But in her book, she spoke about, she has this quote in her book where she says, finding your tribe, right? Very beautiful. She said, finding her tribe, right? And she mentioned, like at the beginning of her journey, she was in a bar in New York City, surrounded by a group of people, but she felt very lonely. But it made her go on this journey to find her tribe, which just basically means she was very intentional about the connection she was making, the friendships she were making, right? Let's continue. Yeah, so the last module, the conclusion, right? So at this point, again, this is just the introductory video, but throughout the course, and I estimate the course is going to be about 2 hours long, approximately, with all 14 modules. Yeah, so once you're finished with this course, you'll have enough knowledge, by the way. You'll have enough knowledge to be able to, lock in, because it's just a state of mind, right? It's a state of mind, but from the introductory video, you'll be able to see how complex it can be from from you being a consciousness to having a body, projecting the shadow, fake, or vicarious body when you play video games, projecting the fake, vicarious, or shadow body when you watch movies. But then when you're by yourself, your consciousness with your real body would be kind of being pulled and pushed between the past and the future. So there's a lot of confusing things going on. But in any event, though, the research in this course, it took me many years, many different books, many different conversations to test and come to these theories, right? So you're getting it in 2 hours, right? So this is why I said, especially if for the teenagers that are doing this course with their parents, right? If it makes sense, I recommend you guys go through it 7 times to really allow it, all of it to marinate, because it's very, very powerful, right? So, but yeah, module 14 conclusion, right? You'll be able to lock into the same state of mind, the same state of consciousness whether you're just in a chair by yourself or you're on a subway, which don't recommend. A lot of teenagers would have been killed subway surfing. So on any type of high risk activity that's close to death, it would force a person to give up the future, give up the past, right? Just mentally, and then lock into the present moment. Coincidentally, the present moment offers a ton of benefits with regards to high function and emotional regulation, and you'll be learning that. So I look forward to hearing from you within the course, and don't be shy about commenting or asking questions or like emailing or anything. So this is just the first introductory video. I'll see you in the course.